Midnight comes often in the dusk of my life, when I look back upon all that I have survived. The deaths of so many for whom I cared and loved in my heart have expunged all sense of glory from my thoughts. To have escaped those random fates has lost all triumph. I know you have seen me, friend, my lined face and silent regard, the cold calcretions that slow my embittered pace, as I walk down the last years, clothed in darkness, as are all old men, haunted by memories.
Hello and welcome to Legendary Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 2 of the Memories of Ice series. I am Hurinfan and I am joined today by BefuddledPanda.
Hi!
JasnahAsABoy.
Hello!
And Ashaman.
Hi, everybody.
As a reminder, this is BefuddledPanda's first time reading Memories of Ice. Jasnah has read the first half of Memories of Ice previously and is reading the series for the first time. And Ashaman and myself are Malazan veterans. Today we are covering Memories of Ice chapters 7 through 13. If you haven't read these chapters, please stop listening here, as everything in these chapters is fair game for discussion, so spoilers galore. We will be doing our usual chapter-by-chapter format. And major warning for sexual violence and just messed up violence in general. Ashman, you want to hit it?
Absolutely. So, Chapter 7. We are introduced to the Grey Swords and Kapistan as they are contacted by Quick Ben. A group of Grey Sword outriders are then attacked by Kachain Chamal, and are then rescued by Talani Mas. Tok has a pair of visions from the point of view of Baljag and a dying Treach. And Envy has a conversation with Cruel. Itkovian and Emas rescue Gruntle and Co. Brucalion rearranges Gethel's face.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry, I probably should have said this before the reading, but I would just like to thank one of our users for agreeing with me and my complaints last episode. And also say that nobody has come on Twitter or the Discord correcting Ashman's and I disagreement from the spoilers episode, and that is it.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Don't worry, I know I'm right.
So, Jasnah, what stood out to you? Characters or scenes?
The death of Treach, and I also loved the scene in Krull's temple with Lady Envy, the temple under the floorboards.
What about the death of Treach was so intriguing?
Oh God, I need to stop reading these only once so long before the recording. It was a powerful moment. I liked the dialogue that Treach had about with that IMAS woman, right? About how she knew him, and the references to Rylandris meant something to me because of other stuff I've read. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a cool moment.
Was this depiction of Kilava a little unexpected based on what we'd seen before? This is for everybody.
She's changed. But then again, 300,000 years will do that to you.
I didn't realize she was going to still be kicking around since she defied the ritual. At least the first time I read this.
That's a little strange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Soul Taken aren't supposed to be immortal, are they?
Nope.
Yeah, so...
How about you, a panda?
Yes, I am a panda. Well, we got our first actual action scene with the giant zombie dinos. So we got to see them in action. And of course, Jurassic Park theme song was playing in my head. I was reading it. And this is why Silver Fox said that they needed the Telonimas, because even with the Telonimas, it took it was 60 dead against 4 of these zombie dinos.
Thousands of Emas too.
Yeah.
Wasn't this our second scene with the dinos? With an action scene?
Kinda. The last one we saw was them attacking Curly and Gruntle, but that was more like a fade away thing.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
It's we got to see the details of it, and then also how the soldiers used ropes and just tore the dino apart. Ugh. I mean, it was cool, but also at the same time, ugh.
I like the Grey Swords a lot.
The Grey Swords are cool.
Yes. And then other things that stood out to me were we learned more about Cruel and how like drawing on the power of the Warrens means that they're actually drawing on Cruel's blood. At least that's
Isn't
what
that
he
wild?
said. That is wild. Which I'm not. I mean, there's definitely like questions there about like who really is Cruel, and I think he is the eldest of the elder gods, but I could be wrong.
It's
And
pretty.
then
Oh, sorry.
go ahead. No,
Oh, I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say it seems pretty cool of him to normally, this scene where we found this out being an exception, to normally allow mortals to do that, to draw on his blood without actively trying to control them or dominate them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's passive, right? He's just like, you guys
Yeah.
just walk through my warrens.
Yeah, he
And-
says he's passive in the very scene where he's saying, "But you should know this, so you will obey me, Lady Envy." But at most other times, passive, according to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why do you think he allows mortals to do that?
I don't know if he really has much of a choice right now, given Calor's like curse on Cruel, because a lot of people have forgotten Cruel, and maybe he like draws power from people believing in him. I do believe in fairies.
Well, I think there's a distinction being drawn in this section as a whole between, and like taken alongside the prologue, between like old Cruel and Cruel post being revived in Gardens of the Moon, because old Cruel had like worshippers and temples all over the world, but we find out later that now he just has friends and like tries to have like an equal relationship with people, and he has like this one priest we've met so far, but he doesn't seem to be as like domineering as he used to be. On the other hand, he's still activated by blood, so
He has 3 temples now, at least.
Oh,
3
really?
active temples. Well, yeah, he's got the one in Darujistan that revived him. He's got the one where he met Lady Envy, and he was kind of, got power from the blood sacrifice there. And then finally, when they get to Kapustan, he made a temple where there was a family that had died upstairs.
Oh, because Karuli made it into a temple.
Yeah, because Kuruli's his priest.
right, but the one in Darujistan and the one where he met Lady Envy don't have like a priest in residence, right? They're just like temples that some blood got spilled at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to have a priest in residence to have it be a temple. Also, recall that the Warrens didn't always exist. Before the Warrens, there were the Holds.
Were there?
Shut up.
So are the holds not part of the of Cruel's body? Is Cruel's body only the younger warrens that mortals can draw on? You can't see it, but Hurin is making zipping gestures on his mouth.
The short answer is it's complicated.
Let's move on.
Mhm.
So in this chapter, we got introduced to Kapistan and the Grey Sword. So what did you think about Kapistan?
The Grey Swords were very interesting. They call everybody Sir, which was something I noticed.
It's confusing.
It's not something unique to the Grey Swords. It's kind of a tradition within the entire world in military hierarchies to just call everyone Sir. They don't care what gender you are. So a woman in command will be called Sir.
Okay.
Except Itkovian calls an inferior Sir. He calls one of the recruits Sir, too.
Yes, because Itkovian is a baller man.
Okay. I will admit, I'm still like trying to get the correct names of the characters because like each character has multiple names, and like I've gotten that Ikovian is the shield anvil. Was that Brocolian?
Brucalian.
Brocolian is the mortal sword,
Mm-hmm.
and then Carandandus. Did I make that
sounds
up?
right, yeah.
Carnidas
And,
Carnados, yeah.
Carnadas.
is the destriant.
I want to call him Carnada.
Carnada.
Yes. No, that was. I
And-
have no
and
idea what
not-
you're talking about.
Not Rathfenner.
Um,
Rathfenner is not the Destrian.
And Quickben thinks they're all full of poop.
Oh, he says that.
I don't know. Why do you? So you think he was lying to Whiskey Jack?
I don't know. I never trust anything Quick Ben says.
I think Quickben was actually being. He really had no idea.
Yeah, I think that Quickben is a little too cynical, and doesn't and thinks they're a bunch of like scam artists, basically.
I don't think it's cynicism. I just think it's like egocentrism. Like Quickben thinks that he's certain about everything, and so he gets to a conclusion and he sticks with it, even though there's evidence against it.
I think he tends to overestimate his own knowledge sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Quickben meeting the Grey Swords was a very interesting scene because he made it seem like it was just happenstance that they were the ones that he got to connect with. Which when you're reading the scene for the first time, like you don't know until after that happened. And
I did like that. That was really cool. Do you
when
think they bought it?
Well, yes, I think they bought it. And when he was like naming things like, "Oh, you're the mortal sword and you're the shield and blah blah blah," I was just thinking like Quickben's perception is like really really high, and he's just like inquiring, and this is how he got his information. That was cool.
It is impressive that he actually knows what those things are and can like recognize them.
I do love the terms Destrian, Mortal Sword, and Shield Anvil, and what they mean in this universe. Some of the cooler concepts that Erickson has come up with in terms of hierarchies.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't quite understand the each role.
So the Mortal Sword is essentially the martial champion of a god. The Destriant is the highest of the high priests, and the Shield Anvil is something you'll see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Raphael for Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Ikovian's a bro, though. I love Ikovian.
Yep.
And didn't
He is
they
one of the
say,
more beloved characters in the series.
Didn't they say that Mortal Sword was like a title from the Church of Feanor that like preceded when they started calling ascendants in church hierarchies like the Knight of High House, whatever?
I believe they did say that, yeah.
I thought
There
that
are
was
ancient
a cool
titles.
tidbit.
Yeah, why are they coming up now?
Mm.
Scene that stood out to me was Talk and Tool, and Tool talking to Talk about the eye, and Tool noticed the pain in in Tool's voice, and Tool kind of lashes out. He's like, you were wrong about not noticing my pain. Made me sad.
Mm-hmm. And it's the first time Tool has ever shown emotion.
Yeah, that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That we've noticed, because his exact words were, Talk said, "I've never heard you speak in pain before, Tool. I didn't think you heard wrong," the Talani Mas said, his tone once again devoid of inflection.
This is true. Just because someone talks in a monotone doesn't mean they're not upset.
I also wonder how difficult it is to see like someone's expression when they're skeleton and
Yeah, talks about that a lot. Talk.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just sockets for eyes and a completely dead face. It takes a lot away from the social interaction I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And he's willing to forgive his sister Kalava after all these years.
Yeah.
Good on you, Tool.
That was a pretty quick like reconciliation kind of thing.
300,000 years is pretty quick.
Okay, fine. I mean, yes, okay. Fair enough.
We've had time to cool down from it all.
The elder god speaking to Talk. So in that scene, it doesn't say like which elder god it is, but I think it's Cruel. So the elder god tells Talk that he and Kalava will cross paths again, and the final meeting will likely be years from now. And he also tells Talk that he's gonna send Talk to go free the Panya and Seer's children. And Talk's like, why? This is what the elder god said. An odd question, mortal. I speak of compassion. There are gifts unimagined in such efforts. A man who dreams has shown me this, and indeed you shall soon see for yourself such gifts. So I think it's cruel, who's the elder god, and the man who dreams is Krupp.
I think there's enough clues that, yeah, it's cruel, and that's definitely Krupp.
Okay.
Krupp's a dreamer.
And
Is a dreamer.
Apparently, Cruel is quite the puppet master to be able to predict these things years away.
Yes, I did wonder about that. But also, Krupp, dreams, something, Queen of Dreams, maybe.
Maybe.
Maib.
I liked after Kilava left, and Tool is obviously shaken by their meeting, and Talk says like words that could be interpreted as insensitive, and Tool's like, I will take such words from a friend, even from somebody I consider a friend. And he's like, I'm just being serious. Like, man, it's great that. Altria, not insult, Talk said levelly, turning back to the Talanimas in observation. What did you call it? The breaking of blood ties. He laid a hand on Tool's shoulder. It's clear to me that what that's worth, and the breaking failed. The blood ties remained. Perhaps you could take that to heart, Onos. And I just love their relationship. It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Talk is wondering. He's like, man, how did I deserve like the respect from the Segula and the friendship of a Talanimas? And then immediately after that, like he calls.
Oh yeah.
Because he has a nickname now called like Stone Arrow and Stone Blade. He says, "Here I was planning to spend the night tossing bones with Sennu and thru. Sennu stepped. Come and eat, Stone Arrow. Uh-oh, I think I just overstepped the familiarity thing."
Yeah, getting the respect of Segula is not very easy without beating the hell out of them.
Yeah, it seemed like the only language that they really knew how to speak was violence and, pissing contests.
Essentially.
I just think it's great that literally it seems like everybody who meets Talk just automatically considers them their friend. Lydian V, Talk Tool, even the Bridge Burners and Perron, etc. Talk is awesome.
Yeah, he's just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I like the scene where Brucalion smashes his sword across Gethel's face, because you know what? Sometimes Jaika need to get a sword smashed into their face. And this was one of those occasions. Also, did you guys expect Gothos' brother to be quite like that?
That was kind of rude, though.
What?
Smashing his face. Like, he was just following... He was Hood's herald. He was just following instructions.
Nah, he said some things he didn't need to say.
Yeah, he was very rude.
I'll have to reread it.
He said, "Foolish man, Fenrir shall be the first casualty in the war with the crippled god. The boar shall fall, and none can save him. The patronage of Hood is not casually offered, mortal, to just anyone. To be so honored." And then Brucalion's like, "You think we would betray our god like that? Who do you take us for? You dick."
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, he thought he was offering the dude a favor. Like,
You don't talk to people who are that pious and say those kind of things about their god and expect them to respond like that, especially when you're insulting their honor by doing so.
Yep.
yeah, he could have made the offer more diplomatically.
What do we learn? Gethel's just kind of an ass anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's he was displaying some typical Jack Hood arrogance by off caging the offer that way too, right? Aren't they known for that?
They are. That's
He was just
that's a
acting
large
on
part
his
of the
nature.
reason why the Talanimas started genociding them, according to Gardens of the Moon, at least.
And according to a Talani Mas.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't trust anything those guys say.
Did you notice that? So Getho, he lost an eye, right? Because Brucalion, when he slashed his face,
Oh, he did.
It-
I didn't.
it hurt one of his eye, and then Getho gets pulled back into the portal again, and that's when he says that he knows. Oh, let me find the quote.
You think
Okay,
I know who
maybe I
you are,
don't have-
Hood?
Yeah.
That's a
And,
later chapter.
oh, never mind. Just kidding.
Oh, you can read it now. It's related.
Okay, but which chapter?
8,
is
I
it?
would imagine. He doesn't lose his eye. It's just his eye gets obscured a bit.
Yeah, here it is, chapter 8, fourth paragraph.
Okay. Did he not lose his eye?
It says the blood had slowed its flow down his ruined face, though the vision of one eye was still obscured, blocked by an upthrust shard that glimmered pink-white, and the pain had dulled to a pulsing throb.
Okay.
So his
Well-
cheekbone is essentially blocking his view.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he says that I know you now, Hood. I know what you are. Delicious irony, the mirror of your face. Do you in turn, I now wonder, know me? And the reason why I bring that up is because it comes up quite a bit when people like lose their physical sight, they gain sight of another nature,
Like
Mm.
Tom.
and like talk, like Haboric, right? So I don't know. I was trying to connect the dots here. I don't know if that's a stretch.
No, it's great that you're connecting dots to that scene. Do we have any quotes from this chapter? Or any other scenes or characters?
I've got a quote.
Take it.
It says, "Crippled and chained he may be, Lady Envy." This is Krull talking to Lady Envy. "But this particular god is never so obvious. His game displays a master's sleight of hand. Nothing is as he would have us believe, and his use of unwitting servants is as brutal as his treatment of enemies. Consider, after all, the Panian seer. No, for Kalos, death came from the sea. A war-twisted fleet, cold-eyed, unhuman killers. Seeking, ever seeking, they now ply the world's oceans." And we don't hear anything about this war-twisted fleet in the chapters we've read since then, but that's interesting.
Do you have any guesses for who they are?
Panda?
Oh, do you, Yesna?
I have more info than
Stop.
than you
poo.
do. I think, if I'm right about my guess, but it like draws on the extended universe. So
When it comes to fleet, the only thing I can really think of is the Salanda.
What about the Salanda?
Well, it's mysterious, and there are things that are going to be revealed later.
does that question, what about the Salanda, imply that it's something to do with like the Teist Eater? Wasn't that a Teist Eater ship?
Did they
Does
say
it?
that?
They were on the ship, and they were manning the ship.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. What else about the Salanda? Now I want to go back and look at the stuff about the history of the ship.
Because like
was-
they're like in the cabin, right? Like the captain of the ship was.
Well, didn't what's his name? Bowden. Didn't Bowden say that it was like the only trading vessel that was supposed to be like trading with the Teist
yeah.
Eater from where? Was it from the Malazan Empire? I don't remember.
It was a trading ship from the Malazans to the Teist Andi on I think an island.
The Spar of Andy.
Okay.
No, it was at the Spar of Andi.
Wasn't it?
No,
No, isn't the Spar of Andi in like the Chaos, the Warns of Chaos?
it's near the Wards of Chaos. Yeah.
I don't know what you are talking about.
It's been mentioned like one time in Gardens of the Moon, and the only reason I remember it is because of the Duke and Duchess podcast.
Shout out to the Duke and Duchess podcast. So we learned a lot about Dassam Ultur. Pretty interesting guy. What do you think?
I don't think he's that important.
Psh. I know that he is important. He keeps coming up. He's been coming up since the first book.
So
Yeah,
like this section seems to imply that December and Dassam Ultor are the same person. Is that right?
Is it?
That's what I took away
I see.
from this. Yes. I'm saying yes.
Okay.
All right. I mean, that's what it seems like I'm being led to believe, at least.
It was Drift Avali. There we go.
Oh, good. That's what I was thinking of, but I didn't know if they gave the name away, so I didn't want to say it.
I still don't know what that means, so.
That was where the Salanda was trading with the Teist Andi, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
And then
Okay.
the Teist Eador, like, jacked it and enslaved everybody?
Allegedly.
So we think.
So, okay. You guys are impossible.
Yeah, okay, we've read like the first 2 books not that long ago, and the details have already been leaking out of my brain.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, about Decimal Tour. So I don't know how Decim fits into the current picture of the events that we're reading. And then Lady Envy also asked Cruel if Decim Otor's daughter would still be alive if Lady Envy had shown up at the chaining. Because it seemed like Decim Otor's daughter was the only casualty from the chaining. Maybe. Okay.
And yeah, he's seemingly angry at Hood for taking his daughter. Whatever that means.
Well, Hood
But-
was at the chaining as well.
But
So, yeah.
but she's not dead, right?
His daughter?
Well, she was like, was that her corpse in the Azath house that we saw, or was that like a passed out body like we saw with when Perrin saw those the Vorkan and Rallic?
It was definitely a body. I'm not saying if it was alive or not.
Right. That's why I'm saying, like, I mean,
Yes, we saw her.
people sleep in Azath houses timelessly. So for all we know, she's been sitting in a Azath house passed out for like hundreds of years.
Very possible.
And like,
Hundreds. Dassim's not that old, right?
Not that
how
old,
long
then.
ago was the chaining? Wasn't the chaining like forever ago?
Yeah, maybe.
The first chaining was forever ago.
Oh, see, I keep hearing this reference to a first chaining. So how many chainings were there?
Putting on my tinfoil hat. This better not be a series where it's like everything is cyclical and the events just repeat itself, and then it's like this multiverse situation where each time it's like a slightly different series of events or blah 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 or whatever.
No, that's the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, this is not that.
Okay.
Or so we think.
So we think.
I have not read The Wheel of Time, so I have no idea.
That is the Wheel of Time.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
But it's very open about that from the beginning, so.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler at all.
I have a quote,
Oh, sorry.
but if you have something for this train of thought, then go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if he's blaming Hood for something that went down in an Azath house, I also think that he might be bitter for the wrong reasons, because the Azath houses have their own agendas, and I doubt Hood has any control over that. That's it. Go on.
Then that would mean... okay, I have a question about the Azath house.
Oh boy.
The answer
So-
is yes.
The body of Decim Otor's daughter is in the Finest Azath house?
No.
No,
Uh,
it's
Tremolor, I think.
Tremolor.
Yeah.
Oh, in Tremolor.
It was either Tremolor or Dead House. I couldn't remember, but they've said Tremolor.
Okay, I completely forgot about that body.
Let's move back to Memories of Ice then.
Right. We just went down a Dead House Gates rabbit hole.
This quote, okay.
Wait. Before
Oh.
we close this, what I was trying to get at was, so Lady Envy was like questioning, whether or not Decim Otor's daughter would have been alive or saved or whatever if Lady Envy had shown up at the chaining, and then Cruel just tells her there's little value in worrying such questions beyond obvious lesson that inaction is a deadly choice. And I think this echoes what we saw in Dead House Gates at Aran, where Pormqual's inaction was a deadly choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For everyone.
Inaction is always a decision that people make, and like even in the political sphere, if you don't care about politics, guess what? That's still a political decision.
Yeah. And there's also, just like in normal day, like the bystander effect, thinking like somebody else will take responsibility. And so like, oh, I don't need to do it because somebody else will do it, right?
That isn't to say that it's not good to wait sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like sometimes.
It's complicated.
Yeah. Sometimes your city might be overtaken by the Fire Nation, and you're just waiting for the day of the eclipse so that you can break out and free your city.
Okay. Thanks.
Sometimes that does happen.
At least
But sometimes that only happens because some dude tried to fight Volcano for no reason.
Are you guys talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Could be.
No, we're talking about our friend Boomy.
Boomy. Okay.
I got 2 quotes. This is from Cruel, explaining, the Warrens, and it's really neat. Darkness, then chaos, wild, unfocused power, a universe devoid of sense, a control of meaning, entities flung through the maelstrom, lost, terrified by the birth of light, a sudden sharpening, pain as of wrists open, the heat spilling forth, a savage imposition of order, the heart from which blood flowed in even steady streams, twin chambers to that heart, crawled Ghislaine, the warren of Other Dark, the Starvault Demolaine, the warren of dragons, in the blood, the power now seeping in currents through veins, through arteries, branching out through all existence, in the thought that came to her then stole all warmth from her flesh.
Such
I just thought that was
imagery.
really cool. Yeah.
That's metal.
Yeah. How nice of Cruel to impose some sort of order onto the universe.
And the other one, so the Grey Swords were just saved by the Talani Mas, and they were talking about why they were fighting the Kachanchamal. He says, "Tell me, Shield Anvil, do these undead warriors hold grudges?" Itkovium allowed himself a private smile. "You can ask that of the next Jag hut we happen across."
A later chapter where Talk was asking, like, so do the Talanimas even still know, like, are there any Jaggeds alive? And the answer was like, no. So, yeah.
I think it was really nice of the Talani Mouse to save the Grey Swords there.
They definitely did it out of the kindness of their own hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yep.
Oh, poor Harlow's dead.
Yeah.
Is that in this chapter?
Yeah, it was at the end.
This was a long chapter.
It was a long chapter.
Hit it, Ash.
Chapter 8. Gethel enlists in the House of Chains. Whiskey Jack tells Anamander the origin of the Bridge Burners. The Maib has a dream. The Bridge Burners are stood up by Quick Ben, who is busy talking to Styx.
An acorn, right?
And he has an
head.
acorn head, yeah. Which would be so unnerving to talk to. It's like straight into the Uncanny Valley.
I liked learning about the history of the Barghast. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Part of the history, at least. Do we hear the full history here?
I don't know. We learned that they were seafarers, and they I believe they kind of intermingled with the Tolblakai and became the Barghast.
Mm-hmm. And they have history with Moranth.
Yeah.
They're kin, right? Or no?
They
Yes.
speak a similar language. The Moranth speak a language similar to the Barghast shoulder people. And Twist later says in a later chapter that their enmity is an ancient enmity born of false memories.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And also, in another chapter we read, or maybe it's the same one, that Twist says that, but a different scene, we get the Barghast perspective on that a little bit from Heaton, and she basically says that the Moranth are traitors because they adopted some of the ways of the Teist Edur, who were their like ancient enemies.
Yeah.
But
They fought on the oceans.
But
Right.
Twist says that they have that wrong, basically. That they don't. That their memory of that is false,
Incorrect.
basically. Yeah.
And they said they're related to the Trell, too.
Yeah, I did. I noticed that. The Trell are way different than the Moranth and the Barghast, though, aren't they? So they look.
They'll
they're
have
like,
tusks, right?
yeah, they're like big orc guys.
Oh.
Thick. With 2 C's.
Gummy thick.
Well, they're all thick. I think that's the commonality. The Toblakai, the Trell, the Barghast. Oh no, the Moranth, I guess, are they described as being like big built? Or no?
Not really.
I thought
So they're
were
that
kind
odd.
Of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you next time we're riding behind one in a quarrel.
I love the Moranth. I've said it before, but they're so cool. So much cooler
They
than the Barghast.
Agreed.
They kind of have the effect that the eagles do in Lord of the Rings, because they can,
Because they can fly.
But
Yeah,
they actually
and-
use them, though, unlike the eagles, which get used
that
only
is
like a
true.
couple times.
That is an improvement.
And the eagles didn't lead to the innovation of grenades.
It's true.
Okay, fine, yes, but I meant the effect that the Moranth and Quirrell have on situations. Anyway, I noted here that the crippled god has he was having some serious FOMO and really wanted to be part of the cool kids and have a house of his own to be part
Absolutely.
of the deck of dragons.
Yeah, everybody wants a house.
He was like, no longer an outsider, Getho. I would join the game.
I don't think the other kids are gonna like that he wants to play with them, though.
No, they chained him. They're like, we don't want you to be part of our gang. We're gonna put you over here.
Do you think that high house chains will become a part of the deck?
Yes. Well, the next book is called House of Chains. So I figured it's going to focus a lot on whether it's like creating the House of Chains, defeating the House of Chains. Also, the Cripple God did say, like, he's going to have many, many followers because there's so much pain and failure in the world. And he basically collects the broken people, which is also why Cruel tells Lady Envy to be protective of Talk, since Talk is, he's deformed, he's broken, and seems like if the crippled god was able to convince Talk to be on his side, that would be a very, very bad thing.
Yeah, the crippled god has self-pity on his side, and boy, oh, that's a strong tool.
Speaking of that, Paran has a lot of self-pity, so
Yeah. He does call himself out for it, though.
that's true. But he's also not alone. Like, he's with the bridge burners, so hopefully that's like enough to keep him away from the cripple god. Whiskey Jack makes friends with Rake.
Yeah.
That scene was awesome.
Real
Yeah.
recognizes real.
And we get the backstory of the bridge burner. So the story that Kimlock wanted Fiddler to tell him, we get now. I was just like, oh my goodness, it's bridge burner buddies for life.
Mm-hmm.
That story is what I was talking about when they asked, like, about Quickbin, like, a million episodes ago, and I was like, well, I already know, so I can't say anything, and they were like, but do you know? Do you really know? So that was what I was referencing. Just
You know
so
more
know.
than you knew before.
I mean, Quickbin is badass. Like, for him to be able to absorb like 11 other souls, basically.
Yeah, he's essentially a hive mind now.
Yeah, and like be stable for the most part. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And
they have reached a balance.
yes, I was trying to keep track of all the different mages that, the bodies that they found and like which warren or what characteristic they had. But there were a few that were just like unknown. And so like there was Minas, which is the illusion warren.
Yep.
Yes.
It's the human version of the Shadow Warren.
Okay. There's Driss, which I don't remember what Driss is.
I believe that is Earth.
Oh,
Yes.
and then there's Fenner, and then there's a Soul Taken Soleil one, Ulan, and there's a couple of unknowns, Rashan, Cirque, Tennis, and then there's Quickbin. I don't know what his original was. So, powerful dude. And-
Driss is the Worm of Autumn. Or it serves the Worm of Autumn.
Which
And
is it is an earth-based magic. Which
Yeah, and I think-
we learned in Gardens of the Moon.
I think Tennis is Burns. I think we learned
Tennis
that in
was
this
Earth.
book. Yeah.
Oh well.
So he has two different flavors of Earth magic. Ooh.
Do we know Cirque?
It's not really important.
Okay, fine. Cirque is
Yeah, it's-
Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, Circus Sky. And what I noted about getting the story of the Bridge Burners is that they were a hodgepodge mix of basically leftovers from different squads, and found family is one of my favorite tropes. So this is like one of the ultimate found families.
Yeah, they breakfast clubbed each other.
And yeah, having like shared such an intense experience of going across Rariku. I mean, we've already seen that in Dead House Gates, and how like terrible that was. But yeah, like they're almost a cult.
Yeah.
Almost. Anyway, Bridge Burner buddies. I'm really happy that we got to learn about them.
It's a good story. And Rake got a friend, which makes me happy.
Blind, Antsy, Picker. Those three, man.
I
Such
love Blend.
names, such characters,
Mhm.
such antics.
The conversation between Picker and Ansi, I believe. He said, Ansi says, and I got a real complicated meal in mind. Hair stuffed with figs. Picker sat up, eyes wide. You're not going to make us eat Spindle's hair shirt with figs!
Gross.
So good.
Oh, okay. So when Whiskey Jack and Rake were becoming friends, there was something that Rake said, and they were talking about Paran. I say that guy's name like different almost every time. Can't decide.
As one does.
Uh-huh. And Rake was talking about how like, people you kind of just like brush across people in life, and sometimes you're changed by just that brief moment of contact. He goes on to say, at the instant when lives brush close, no matter how momentary, inform me who is worthy of trust. And then he says, even though that Paran was a tool of a pawn, a mortal, his every loss written plain there in his eyes, living or dying, his fate meant nothing to me. Yet, and then Whiskey Jack says, you liked him. Rake smiled, sipped wine. Aye, an accurate summation. So even though Rake was talking about Paran in this example, I think at the same time he was also talking about Whiskey Jack. Like, you're immortal. Like, because Whiskey Jack is also somebody who, like, when you meet him, you just like trust him. You don't know him, but he just seems so trustworthy. And it's almost, I'm reading it as like Rake kind of extending a hand of friendship in his own way to Whiskey Jack. Like, I really don't care about you and shouldn't care about you, but yet I like you. So
And Crone comments on the possible folly of his decision to let Whiskey Jack into his cold, dead heart a bit. Because in Rake's point of view, Whiskey Jack's going to be dead soon.
yeah.
Same for Tool and Talk, of course, but I don't know. I think Tool is just so sad that he was willing
He's
to accept
clanless.
anyone who... He's clanless. He has no one to talk to. Rake at least has people to talk to that, like, kind of get him.
Yeah.
Although the Taistandi aren't exactly a very cheerful lot.
They are not.
Nightly.
I have a quote. Armies possess traditions, and these had less to do with discipline than with the fraught truths of the human spirit. Rituals at the beginning, shared with each and every recruit, and rituals at the end. A formal closure that was recognition. Recognition in every way imaginable. They were necessary. Their gift was a kind of sanity, a means of coping. A soldier cannot be sent away without guidance, cannot be abandoned and left lost in something unrecognizable and indifferent to their lives. Remembrance and honoring the ineffable. Yet when it's done, what is the once soldier? What does he or she become? An entire future spent walking backward, eyes on the past, its horrors, its losses, its grief, its sheer heart-bursting living. The ritual is a turning round, a facing forward, a gentle and respectful hand like a guide on the shoulder. And I think this kind of just speaks to the importance of traditions and rituals in human life generally, because guess what? The universe is not obliged to make sense to us, and often it doesn't. These kinds of things are our effort to kind of make sense out of everything and feel like there's some kind of order to our days. And it's really discomforting when you feel like that's not the case.
Yeah, the way that I was reading that quote, it was very much about, I think it also speaks to like PTSD and also just, when your life has been taken over by a cause of some sort, right? For so long, how do you transition out of that mindset that's become so integral to your identity and then move on from it? I've had. I'm not saying like it's at the same level, but I've had a little bit of experience with this where it's like if you think about college where
Mm.
your life was, at least mine was, like a lot of interactions with my friends. We would see each other every day. Sure, there's partying. I wasn't that big of a partier, although I've had my moments. And we basically were just like so close knit. And after graduation, it felt like part of yourself was missing because that thing that you had, that part of your identity just went away. And I get why like reunions and things like that are fun and people like to go to that sometimes, depending on what your experience was originally. But anyway, um it's hard to get that back. And yeah, I don't know. It's how do you move on from that? You kind of just, okay, what's the next thing? And you keep busy. And some people don't grow out of it, I guess. They keep trying to get back to the good old days. So
Hmm. I think it's very important for humans to be able to divide our lives into like strict chapters and have closure of some kind on each chapter of our lives.
is that realistic though?
No.
Yeah.
Krupp denies the existence of elusive complexity regarding self-worrisome wizard. Simplicity is Krupp's mistress, and joyful conspiracy with his dear wife Truth. Of course, long and loyal in allegiance to this happy threesome.
And before that, they're playing dice, and Cole is complaining.
Oh yeah.
And he says, Krupp wins every cast. Not subtle, little man. A good cheat makes sure there's losses thrown in every now and then. And Krupp says, thus Krupp's true innocence is displayed. I have asthma, and it's terrible right now, so I can't do my normal Krupp voice. I'll try. A cheat of successive victories would be madness indeed. No, this sympathy is true, and well beyond Krupp's control. The sympathy of the gods in the universe for Krupp, that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Cosmic sympathy. Oh,
They
man.
look down upon him and like, poor Krupp, and they make him win every dice game he plays.
Yeah, mark that one too.
Anything else? Nope. Chapter 9. Talk and Envy go to a B&B. Envy brings a dog inside and must therefore slaughter everyone in the building. Talk takes the next available opportunity to join a cult.
Oh, poor Talk. He's so stupid.
what a hood damn fool.
But
I mean, he would have
he's
died
not.
otherwise, right? No way he survives if he doesn't go with the if he stays with Lady Envy and the others.
I disagree.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I don't think he's a fool though, because Cruel already told Talk, I'm gonna send you into the embrace of the Panyan Seer.
So this is one instance of Cruel not necessarily being the nicest to his friends.
I think it was stupid because we know what happens to him.
He does what's necessary. We do know what happens to him, but like his other option was to, I don't know, just go off by himself.
Okay, would you rather die at the hands of the Thanaskari or be, sent to the matron and have your bones broken over and over and over and over and over and over and over?
Right. But that wasn't one of the options he was thinking through. Like you can't reasonably expect someone to take that into consideration at the time.
Well, because he didn't know didn't know, all the stuff about the Panyan Seer. So
I get that. I still think it was a stupid decision, and I think that the three, Segula and Lady Envy and Tool could have protected him perfectly fine. Plus, the guy's he's an amazing magical archer. He's not nothing. He's got severe self-image problems.
he has low self-esteem. But I do wonder, because when I read that he just like joined to me the Thanaskari are a bit zombie-like in their behavior. I was like, why would you do that? But then like rereading some parts, I do think that he was maybe trying to be like a spy on the inside to kind of help fight from within.
I thought he was just trying to hitch a ride to Dujak's army.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
But at the end of the day, I agree with Hurin if Talk made the decision willingly. But if it was really just Krell's influence, then he didn't really have a choice. So.
Well, we do see that basically everyone in the group gets everyone except for Lady Envy gets overwhelmed with soldiers sometimes. Like Tool literally gets buried under a mass of bodies, and also archers exist. So
you're saying that if he would have been similarly overwhelmed, he wouldn't have had a mechanism to survive like the others do.
I'm saying that Talk isn't nearly as competent of a fighter as the Segula, and he doesn't have anything supernatural on his side to help him survive, like Lady Envy or Tool.
Besides,
he's got his eye. That's it.
Besides his eye lets him see how screwed he is.
Yeah.
The epigraph to this chapter is from
by
someone
Eselmono.
Esli Mono.
Oh yeah, right, Esli.
Esli Monot.
The Dubious.
The Dubious.
Mm-hmm.
So did Esselmont write the epigraph, or did Stephen Erickson characterize his friend?
He characterized his friend, I'm sure. I bet his friend is probably the one who thought of if they could change them all or something.
Or Erickson thought of the kid can change them all, and Esselmont was kind of like, that's stupid.
that's probably more likely.
And since
Dinos.
Eslimono the Dubious.
Dinosaurs with swords for hands? Come on, how juvenile can you get, Steve? Like in any other book, dinosaurs with swords for hands would be too ridiculous, you know?
No. I like that this chapter starts with, how do you... damn it.
How do you measure life?
Thank you, yeah. How do you measure life?
Yep. Yeah, I noted that. Deeds are the cruelest measure of all, wouldn't you say? Lady Envy asks Talk. And this reminds me of what Erickson said, like, what is a hero? Who determines that one is a hero? If a person performs heroic deeds but there is no witness, is the person a hero? So, like, would good intentions be a better measure? But then how do you measure good intentions? And I think the question here may be flawed. Like, in order to measure something, someone has to be there to measure it. So can the person that's doing the thing also be the person measuring the thing? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I'm sure to someone listening, it makes sense.
Thanks. So your answer is no. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think deeds are pretty much the only thing you can use. I think good intentions are nearly worthless.
You know what they say? The road to hell is paved with people with good intentions.
Exactly.
Something similar.
And a related question in the previous chapter is survival a right or a privilege? I think it is something humans have decided should be a right, and that we collectively work together to make it so most of the time.
We don't do very well at it, though.
There's like 8 billion humans right now. It's
we could do
pretty
better.
good. Could do better. Could have 10 billion humans.
Can the Earth sustain us?
We got the moon.
Well,
You can always build a Dyson sphere.
I think we're trying for Mars right now. So yeah, but like Telemandus says that it's a privilege and it needs to be earned.
Yes, I agree.
That's says something a lot about the Barghest and their disdain for life.
Their disdain for life.
They kill each other all the time, and they just don't care.
That is true. We do see that, like, they're all gathered here, and they just kill each other for sport, basically.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah. Someone insults someone else, and then, boom, fight to the death.
Yeah.
A similar thing kind of happens in Darujistan, but to a lesser degree.
Quotes?
Yeah, I got one.
Take it.
So I like that Talk asks the questions that I want to ask, which makes me really sad that he's going to be stuck in the embrace of the Kachin Shamala matron, because he's not got anybody to ask these questions of anymore. But for now, he asks Tool, when you fall to dust the way you do, are you entering your Talon Warren? And I'm like, oh, you're asking my questions. And he always does this. I love it. And Tool says, no, I simply return to what I was meant to be, had not the ritual taken place. It would be unwise to employ Talon within this domain, Doc the Younger. I shall, however, remain close and vigilant. So something about the ritual lets them, like, turn to what they should be if the ritual hadn't taken place, which is dust. Which I think is pretty interesting, because, like, within the first, like, 100 years after the ritual, did they, like, turn into, like, some nasty, like, worm-eaten, like, semi-corpse? Like, how did that work pre when they should have been dust? I don't know. But,
Let's ask Steve.
Imagine it worked poorly.
Right? Not a fast travel form in the first few years.
No, it takes a while to get going, but once it does, oof, it's the coolest way to go. Besides flying on a dragon. I still might prefer the dust way.
I'd rather become a
it's
dragon.
pretty
Oh,
cool. At least,
Yeah, but if you're a dragon, people can see you coming.
yeah. With the dust way,
If
like...
you're riding on a dragon, people could see you coming.
Yeah.
What?
This is why I said I prefer the dust, I think.
Oh, okay. What about a magic carpet?
No. No.
Why?
We're not...
Why?
No.
Why?
Pandas be doing this conversation.
There's no magic carpet in here.
We're just talking about the best ways to travel.
That's a tangent.
Can't have that.
We're already going...
Go ahead.
Okay. So Lady Envy was talking to Talk about the meaning of the second gathering and how it could mean an end to the Telonimas. In the first book, we talked about, like, oh, there's a diaspora of or diaspora. The Telonimas were all gonna, like, basically not be diaspora. That's not a word. Diasporatic. The diaspora.
It is now.
they're not
So-
going to be scattered. They're going to come
Right.
together as a people.
They're gonna come together as a people. Which I had a question of what's gonna happen when they get together and, like, for what purpose. So we're seeing some of this kind of answered, but Lady Envy asks Talk if he hopes that she's wrong about it being the end of the Telonimas, and he nodded. Why? She asked. Why? Unhuman creatures sworn to genocide, brutal, deadly, implacable, relentless beyond all reason. Talk nodded towards the Telonimas ahead of them. Because he's my friend, Lady Envy.
Very Mappo moment.
It is very Mappo moment. And it's like, I think there's some things to be said here about if you just view people as a monolith, like, it's very easy to have them be an other, but once you get to know them, like a few of them, right, then you're like, oh, but we could be friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I will note, we do know what the purpose of the gathering is. Whatever Silver Fox wants it to be.
Well, yes, thank you.
So, what is your prediction of what will happen at the gathering?
She is going to just suck them all up, and she's going to be the most powerful Telonimas bonecaster ever.
Interesting.
Yep.
So she's gonna eat them?
No, not like devour them by eating them, but like they're just all going to converge in her.
She's gonna consume their life forces. Or
I'm
their...
definitely gonna edit this to make it sound like you're gonna say that she ate them.
No. There's enough people eating people later on.
Well,
Ugh.
that is something that I did not expect you to say.
I'm also not being that serious about it, but I don't know what she has planned. I mean, it could be like, and we're all gonna move on from this reality into the next. Like, I don't know. Anything could happen.
So mine is a lot less fantastic, and therefore is more likely to be wrong, probably because it's predictable. But I predict that she will sick them on the Kachain Shamala and the Jag Hut that we discovered is behind the Panion Seer. And then after that, they'll either be done being Talani Mass and die finally, or they'll sucker them into fighting the crippled god. One of those two.
All right, so Mike, what? Now where's Blend? Ansi demanded. Right here beside you, sir. Hood's breath. Stop doing that.
Oh, Blend.
And it's excellent because I don't think she's mentioned before that in the in the scene.
Right.
Just pops out of nowhere for the reader and for the bridge burners. I love Blend. If I could pick like one buddy, it might be Blend.
I don't so much love Blend as I love her and Picker's relationship with each other. Like, their friendship is what I love, not necessarily one or the other of them.
I think Blend's character on its own would not be that interesting because the character just wouldn't exist. Like, Blend's character needs to interact with other characters.
Okay, shall we move on?
I have something more somber. Unless you want something. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
The Children of the Dead Seed.
Mm.
Alright, we're gonna go there. They're freaking creepy. Something I was thinking about. Okay, this is just tangential, but like Fellison in Dead House Gates, there was no mention of like her getting pregnant or her like preventing any pregnancy. And we know that women do get pregnant in this world. Duh, right? Children of Dead Seed is an example. But we don't get any details about how women can prevent getting pregnant. And I asked in the DMs, like, does Erickson have magical birth control built into Malazan and just, like, doesn't explain it explicitly?
So, I have somewhat of an answer to this, even though it might be wrong, but I've heard it from being around, and people don't seem to consider it a spoiler. They consider it to be, like, part of just the world building, is that the existence of Denul healers at all has lengthened human lifespans and reduced birth rates. So the humans on this world, according to these people that I've heard this from, AP Canavan, humans on this world they're not as fertile as they are on our world because of Denul healing. There's not as much of it. They've like evolved not to have as many babies.
But I'm just wondering what the birth rate among the Tenascari is, because they seem to spawn quite a few.
Well,
anyway.
Not all the Tenascari are children of the Dead Seed.
No, they're not. But it just seems like there are a lot of children of the Dead Seed.
I don't think I agree with AP.
Okay.
If AP is right, then it is due to things that aren't revealed to the readers, at least. Just for the second bit. We do know that Denul healers can increase the lifespan of people. This is how Whiskey Jack and Dujek and Lazine are all still alive, basically.
Is it?
Well,
Yes.
His argument was basically that when you have a longer lifespan and people don't die as much from natural causes, that would lead to like an eventual evolution of a lower birth rate. But maybe that's not true. I don't know.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't have like an explicit, definitive answer. And the reason why I bring this up is just like, at least from my experience, typically male fantasy writers or male writers in general don't really take into account these kinds of things. But you see it when a female writer, especially for fantasy, like when you're given magical powers, why not make magical birth control? You know, it's like a kind of a natural thing to do. So anyway, that was my thought there.
I think I've only ever seen from both female and male authors them show like herbal birth control. I've never seen a magical birth control from either male or female authors.
Tamara Pierce, in her series, she does have like charms that, you know, ward off pregnancy. So there are some that are herbal, and then there are some that are
Mhm.
spells.
Well, I gotta read those books still.
I'll say it's not been
Highly
mentioned yet,
recommend.
but there is birth control.
There is in the world?
Yes.
Okay. And transitioning out of that, so Talk realizes he's grown used to solitude and absence of strangers, which in the time of the pandemic, uh, I that resonated with me. Like
I haven't. Oh, oh.
he and essentially he realizes that he's less anxious now that he doesn't have to interact with so many strangers. He thinks to himself, unfamiliar faces, gauging regard, every sense heightened in an effort to read the unknown, the natural efforts of society. Do we all possess a wish to remain unseen, unnoticed? Is the witnessing of our actions by others our greatest restraint? I'm just wondering, like, what do you think he means? And do you agree? Which apparently I've moved on to questions now, so.
Man, I have no idea how people see me because I don't really understand people. So this is something I don't really deal with. I don't worry about how I'm perceived most of the time because I've just given up on it, and it is quite liberating.
I mirror that sentiment.
I wish I could mirror that sentiment.
There are a lot of pressures in like day-to-day life, especially depending on your personality. And I'm definitely somebody who is more of a giver. Like
Mm.
I want to please other people. I want to help other people. And sometimes that's very detrimental to my mental health.
Same here.
It's okay to say no.
That's all I have for this chapter.
Hit it, Ash.
Chapter 10. Gruntle wakes up in a puddle of vomit and teams up with Buke to fund police Corporal Broach. Hitan solicits Capustan to dig up some bones. Gruntle apologizes to Caruli.
Does he though?
In the most grunting way
Yay!
possible.
Panda said it.
Does he, though? Yeah. At least Caruli is a nice guy and accepts the forced apology.
Yeah, I like the part where Buke is talking to Gruntle and he's telling him about grief and how he has to give meaning to Harlow's death because if he just goes on like this, then he'll have died for nothing. And Harlow would not be happy about that. And it was really sad and moving.
I have the quote here. I'll just read the section. Gruntle says about Harlow's death, a pointless, senseless death. They're all pointless and senseless, friend, until the living carve meaning out of them. What are you going to carve, Gruntle, out of Harlow's death? Take my advice. An empty cave offers no comfort. And then Buke goes on to say, he defended you, stood over you, and took the blows and was killed. But he did what he wanted. He saved your hide. And is this his reward, Gruntle? You want to look his ghost in the eye and tell him it wasn't worth it? Gruntle says, he should never have done it. And Buke says, that's not the point, is it? And I read that as Gruntle is dealing with survivor's guilt.
Oh yeah, big
I
time.
agree.
I think he's also having a hard time dealing with nihilism as well. And Buke is telling him to be more of an existentialist.
It's good advice.
And I think this is why Gruntle spends most of his time drunk, because he just can't handle the world. He's a sensitive guy.
But I do think that Gruntle is going to have an important role in this book later on. Just a sense. No?
No, we just follow him because he's trash.
Yeah, he's going to try and follow Broach around and then get eaten.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't believe you.
I also appreciate both Buke and Stunny here, because good friends are always willing to call you on your bad behavior. Stunny perhaps does it a bit too much, but she also does it when it counts.
Did you change your opinion at all of Stoney?
I mean, she's still not my favorite.
She's a very disagreeable person.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate the character. I think the character's fine. It's just there were some weird things that happened, like bizarre timing of things and also some attitude, whatever.
No, you're absolutely right. I prefer pious Stunny,
Mm,
which is
okay.
kind of a weird thing to say.
Yeah, she's all pious now. Speaking of which, Cruel and Caruli are metal as hell.
Hmm.
And that is showcased in this chapter very well.
Yeah.
Hatan is very badass here.
Mm.
I enjoy that part.
She's pretty cool. I don't care much for Hiton, but yeah, she's great in this chapter.
And also the way that exposition was given through the Barghast, like stating their demands.
Mm.
I thought that was pretty clever.
It felt like natural exposition.
I think she deserves a big shout out for doing what I think all men want women to do. Let's make the first move. She doesn't play games. She just walks up to a man and says, I'm interested in you. And man, wouldn't life be simpler if everyone was like that?
Maybe.
I like the Masked Council.
Me too.
Yeah.
They're weird.
They're a bunch of pretenders, but they have cool masks that change expressions. And also seem to be genuinely connected to their gods, which is a nice change of pace from morally bankrupt religious leaders who do not believe in their own stuff.
Except for Rathfenner.
Well, you know, he makes a big deal about how pious he is. I love how Carnadus is like, oh yeah, that thing he said he did that was such a big deal. That's me all the time.
He spent 3 days like fasting just so he could sit at the hands of or the feet of Fenner. Just like,
Mhm.
yeah, like no big deal.
And the Bargas have gods now.
Yeah.
They have
And doesn't that tell you something about how gods are made in this universe?
just like your ancestors needing to not be held back by trees.
That's a standard way of making a god in Malazan, yeah.
99% of the time, that's how it's done.
Trees buried upside down.
Hmm. God, how much work would that be?
Yeah.
I still can't imagine it.
You're right? Like,
Do they cut off the branches?
I don't know how often they do it. I don't think so because, like, I think the branches are like most of what's keeping them in, right?
That's how I read it, yeah.
Massive task, and I don't know how often they do it for people.
I have one more, and it's just more of a reflection of how the bridge burners feel. I believe, yeah, so this is Picker talking to Blend. Betrayed by our own. That's the worst thing there is, Blend. I can take falling to enemy swords or mage fire or even demons tearing me limb from limb. But to have one of your own flash the knife when your back's turned. She spat into the fire. It broke us, Blend said. Picker nodded again. The reason why this stood out to me is because the bridge burners are going into another battle and they are allies with their former enemies. And the alliance may seem a bit precarious. So they have every right to be suspicious of what they're going into. And basically after this part, they were just like, well, they trust Dujek and he's
Mhm.
somebody to follow and fight for. But the question is that going to be sufficient? And are there going to be betrayals coming down the
Yeah.
line?
Dujek
The
is lying to
foreshadowing.
them, and
Dude,
they
yes.
do suspect.
Yeah.
I actually did have something I wanted to read. It's the epitaph of chapter 10.
Epigraph.
Mother Dark begat 3 children. The first, Teist Andi, were her dearest, dwellers of the land before light. Then were birthed in pain the second, Teist Liens, the burning glory of light itself. And so the first denied their mother, in their fury, and so were cast out, doomed children of Mother Dark. She then gave rise, in her mercy, to the third, spawn of the war between dark and light, the Teist Eater, and there was shadow upon their souls. And I just love this world building. It is top notch. It gives you a lot of important information that you may not realize is very important on first read.
It also enforces don't skip the epigraphs.
Yeah.
Also, don't skip the Carcanus trilogy.
Yeah, don't sleep on that one.
So I also have one. And it's about how metal Karuli and Kroll is. So Stani is talking to Gruntle about the new temple, and she's like, he's a modest man. His elder gods, not one for pomp and ceremony. Anyway, with its recent history, it went cheap. History? Stani frowned. Takes spilled blood to sanctify the elder gods' holy ground. A whole family committed suicide in this house. Less than a week passed. Karuli was delighted. Tempered delight. He grieved for the untimely deaths, of course. Of course. Then he put in a bid. Naturally. Anyway, it's now a temple. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Like Gruntle's like sarcasm and dubiety, and her being like, "Oh, he's so great," and like
It's very pragmatic.
Yes.
There is something about the quite a bit of the dialogue in these chapters, especially with like the Mass Council, that section that you just read. It feels very Shakespearean. Like I could see those scenes being acted out on a stage as part of a play.
Yeah, I the first medium I would like to see Malazan adapted into would be an anime or an animation, but the second would definitely be a play, and just cut out most of the action, just have people talk to each other on stage, and I think it would work really well.
That would be interesting. Yeah,
I
it would be. I would feel like the play version would focus more on the philosophical things, and it would just it would be very deep dialogue.
I would say you could do really cool effects in a play. Like, did you ever watch Empire Island Players? It's great.
Yes, you could do Empire Island player style effects.
It's the penultimate episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. By that, he means
Okay.
it's a recap.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing, that you could even have the action sequences, but have them be like just a wooden prop of Moonspawn, and like just like sound effects with like practical effects kind of stuff, like real simple.
Practical effects on stage are really cool. Like I'm watching Kabuki. It's really like that's half the reason why I've watched Kabuki is like some of the cool stuff they've done.
Well, somebody get on that. Where's the play adaptation?
Oh man, someday. It'll be 18 hours long.
I think it'll be a multi-day event.
18 hours for each book, you said?
Yeah, about that.
Oh, back in the day, like in Shakespeare's day, those plays like did span multiple days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that originated with the Greeks, I believe. They would have plays in sets of 4, with one of them being a comedy and then the other 3 being related stories.
Okay.
So chapter 11.
Best chapter?
Chapter 11. Quick Ben decides to show up. Trots manages to kill an unarmed teenager, collapsing his trachea in the process. Mallet reconstructs it despite some difficulties. The Bridge Burners become a tribal organization.
Bridge Burners!
And Paran gives up his command.
I like the first line of this chapter. Spindle's hair shirt had caught fire. Period.
I really wish that it just disintegrated.
Oh man, don't we all?
Yeah.
It is gross.
I want to eat it.
Why? Why did you have to say that?
I like how later on, when Picker is basically telling Spindle to go find himself a woman to sleep with, he's like, "What would Mother think?"
And then he gets knocked. And then he gets knocked on the head later, right? And then like thrown.
No, like
Mother is not
right
here.
after that, the spirit of his mother like kicks him around or something.
Yeah.
Talk about an unhealthy relationship.
I mean, do you think that if he had gotten rid of the hair shirt, then the mother would just go away? And the reason why Mother is there is because he's kept a part of her with him?
I think so.
Well, isn't part of, but she's not always able to like kick him around, is she? Isn't part of it like that the spirits are all like kind of active at the moment when that happens?
Those are the Barghest spirits.
Hmm.
So I think that she's always with him, and that she kicks him in the line when he starts thinking about things that she would not approve of.
Approve.
Yes.
Oh my god,
Very.
that's terrible.
Spindle is one step removed from Norman Bates.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Oh.
Well, now I have a much
Torrent.
darker read on this character.
The Torrent and Hedge.
Oh man.
Poor
Hedge.
Poor Edge.
I like all the jokes about Torin. Like, she's like worse than the bull. There's a bull following them because he's attracted to one of them.
My only
Such a great chapter.
my first note for this chapter is just the bridge burners are all crazy.
What?
They're all
Bridge
what?
burners are all crazy.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
They're so
I mean,
nuts.
wouldn't you? Like, you've lived through so freaking much. You've been outlawed, and now you're like allies with your enemies, and you're marching towards this city somewhere, knowing that the Panyan Seer and all those weird things are coming and probably gonna die. Like,
Oh, I didn't say I blamed them. I just said they're all crazy, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
This is like the perfect chapter. It's got lots of funny stuff. It's got a cool fight scene. It's got a near-death experience. It's got magic. It's got Perrin being angsty. It's got everything. I love this chapter.
And the description of the Barghest Spirit Warren is so cool.
Yeah, and when Quickbin gets pulled in, it's metal.
Oh my god. Such beautiful writing.
And then they build a bridge of souls for Mallet to use.
And the description of the war in itself is just so cool, and how it's like related, like swampy, and related to like the canoes that they found.
And then like right at the end of the description, you get the salt smell, which like kind of doesn't gel with the rest of it. So pretty.
And how it relates to the problems of the Barghest, and how like they're only like listening to the younger spirits because they tell them what they want to hear, and the older spirits don't really have a lot of power. I love this.
Such a great chapter.
And Perrin calls in Mallet because he thought something was going to go wrong, and then something did go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Twist is cool. I like Twist.
So this is awesome.
Did you catch Panda Yasta that Twist was the Moranth that Whiskey Jack was talking about with the other Moranth from Gardens of the Moon?
I did not catch that.
I did. I mean, it helps when you listen to like multiple podcasts about Gardens of the Moon and like follow along, read alongs to Gardens of the Moon. Just, it stays fresh.
The scene that I got most emotional over in this chapter is the whole Mallet, Trot, Mulch stuff. So I like to spend a little bit of time on that one. There's a lot of emotions in that scene. Like, first, there's Erickson starts building tension and suspense with Trot's possibly dying. We get some relief with Mulch helping out, but there's still suspense because Mulch's work is not enough. And we get more relief when Mallet arrives, but then Erickson hits you in the gut with the whole Poison Warren thing, and Mallet knowing that he will die if he saves Trot. And Perrin knows this, but still commands Mallet to do it. Mallet is willing to exchange his life for Trot's because it would be for the greater good of the bridge burners. And we go through the pain with Mallet, with that bridge of souls, which just reading that part of like Mallet feeling the pain being torn apart was so visceral, like because you were already like in the emotions that Erickson was building. But then we get relief from the Barghest spirits helping Mallet, but there was a cost, so it's a bittersweet relief. And then Trot survives, and he knows that there was a heavy cost, and then he just asks who paid. And those two words was like, because it got me so hard. And it was just such great like pulling and slacking of emotions that culminated in those two words.
Especially the last part, like you can really see it,
Mm-hmm.
Erickson is very good at writing those kinds of things.
Yeah, that like there are lots of beautiful long quotes that he writes, but then he's also very poignant when he needs to be with those 2 words, with just a few words. Yeah.
So the decision for Mallet to sacrifice himself, rough, but also kind of a no-brainer because all the assumption they've been going under is that if Trotz doesn't survive, all the bridge burners, including Mallet, die. So it's like he dies anyway.
Yeah. But it's more of like there's a difference between dying in battle and then dying because you're sacrificing yourself and like you're going through that alone.
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
I really like the part where Aimless was talking to Paran, and he's like, yeah, the other guys are talking about, like, maybe put a knife in your back. And he's like, man, maybe I should just kill the messenger. He's like, hey, the last captain that put a knife on me, I snapped his neck or something like that. And then later on, Aimless and Mulch, right? Aimless and Mulch dog, they're like, well, maybe this Paran guy's not too bad.
Yeah. Paran is really the perfect captain for the bridge burners.
Part that I appreciate about Paran is that we do get to see his internal struggle about being the commander, and he doesn't really want to be their commander, and he feels all that pressure like after having commanded Mallet to sacrifice his life to go save Trotz, right? He was struggling like, gods forgive me, I order that healer to kill himself. If this is the true face of command, then it is a skull's grin. I want none of it. No more. Paran, you cannot steel yourself to this life, to these choices. Who are you to balance lives, to gauge worth, to measure flesh by the pound? No, this is a nightmare. I'm done with it. I don't think he's necessarily cut out to be a commander like Dujek, like Whiskey Jack, like Coltane. I do think that what is cool is we're seeing a leader who is struggling, because before we just see these leaders who are kind of infallible. Like Coltane, yes, he died at the end, but he had so many successes, and then he had this heroic, very glorious ending.
He never showed us how difficult of a time he was having.
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
but we get to see this.
Right. And, and that's probably intentional because as the war chief of the Barghast advises Paran, never admit your unwillingness to rule, Malazan. What you fear in yourself will cloud your judgment of all that your successor does. Your fear will blind you to his wisdom and stupidity both. And it's interesting because Whiskey Jack only looks infallible from the outside. When we were in his head in Gardens of the Moon, we never got in Coltane's head. When we were in Whiskey Jack's, and we've never been in Dujack's head either. When we were in Whiskey Jack's head in Gardens of the Moon, we got a lot more of his doubts and his struggle. I mean, we've been in his head a little bit in this, but it's not as introspective. And when it is, it's less about himself and more about, like, his doubts about, like, the army as a whole and, like, their cause and how they relate to these other factions and things like that, but not so much like his personal struggles as we got in Gardens of the Moon.
Although we do get him and Silver Fox talking about this subject later on.
In these chapters?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the burden to command is often discussed surrounding Whiskey Jack, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
to... Yeah, he's just had a lot more experience and time with it.
And become more jaded.
Yeah.
Remember at the end of the Siege of Pale, and they said a lot of good men died, and I think he said...
oh, yeah. Good at dying.
Good at dying, yeah.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Poor Whiskey Jack.
But then he gets a girlfriend.
Then he gets a girlfriend. Yeah.
A hot ancient girlfriend.
A hot anime girl.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
I hate you.
I have a quote. This is at the end. Paran is having a discussion with, I don't remember exactly who. It says, you'll have to teach him. Teach him what? How to live beneath the burden of command? That's something I can't manage myself. I need only look into Whiskey Jack's face to understand that no one can. No one who has a heart, anyway. We learn to achieve but one thing, the ability to hide our thoughts, to mask our feelings, to bury our humanity deep in our souls. and that can't be taught, only shown.
Which prompts me to ask, who showed Cotain how to command?
Well, I don't know, his tribe, I guess. Or maybe he just figured it out by himself.
Kellenvet.
He's an adept.
There was a funny bit.
There's a lot of funny bits.
I don't know if this is the same funny bit, but I'm going to take over for a second.
Okay.
When Quick Ben is just unconscious on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah. And now it's like he's in a magically induced sleep. And then Perrin's like, is there any way you speed up his waking? And then Mel's like, yep. Slaps him.
Slap.
This is just so excellent.
Oh, wait. You forgot to mention his words when he woke up. He wakes up, he says, "You all owe me." And somebody said, the man's always saying that. Gods, what an ego.
Actually, he really does have an ego because when he was in the Barghast Warren talking to Talamandus about like needing to save Trots or whatever or something. Anyway, he goes like, well, why don't we figure out a way to achieve that? Right? Like to help the healer. Just like,
well, technically speaking, he has 14 egos.
oh, wait,
14?
I thought he only had 12.
I don't know how many it is.
Okay.
I think it's 12, but close enough. Are we ready for questions?
Sure.
Okay. Then, well, it's more questions and speculation. So we get a bit more about Artanthos, and in chapter 3, the epigraph, he also wrote the epigraph, and it was a confession. And it was noted that he showed up right after Dujek was outlawed. And this reminds me of what Jasnah, you said last episode, that you think Tashrin is Artanthos.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree with you.
I said I think, but I'm like doubling down and I'm just saying it's Tashrin. It's Tashrin.
Excellent. Because before you hedged your bet.
Well, yeah, but
Not
because
a cash money
because I didn't think about it when I read it, and then when you were guys like, who was it? I like was like, oh, it's Tashrin at that exact moment. So I've since gone back and read every mention of Artanthos in the chapters from both episodes, and I was like, yeah, this is freaking Tashrin. There's no way this is not Tashrin. If it's not, then Erickson is tricking me on purpose.
He's always tricking us on purpose.
But I don't think so this time. Fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice, you can't be fooled again.
Yeah. Can't be
Well.
fooled again.
Okay, what else do I got? Oh yeah. Okay. It's so messed up that the 8 mages who were defying Calor, like doing their ritual thing to call down that being from another realm, which became the cripple god. And I don't really know what they thought would happen, but it definitely didn't go as planned. And instead of the being coming down and like doing their bidding, the being came down all broken and fallen. But it explains why Calor has such hatred for mages and wants all magic and sorcery to be destroyed. Yeah.
Also, not being a mage himself, I'm sure he wants to fight on even ground.
Good point.
Yeah, mages, who needs them? Oh, except for those ones who could use Denul.
Yeah, heal people.
Yeah, but Calor wants to just use alchemy instead of magic.
He has very cool candles.
Yeah.
He does have cool candles.
I want those candles.
It's a good thing he found them, too. Otherwise, his life would be miserable.
His life is miserable.
Well, it would be more miserable.
Does Calor just like carry his throne with him wherever?
Yes.
Does he actually?
I assume he gets people to carry it for him, but yes.
Oh my god.
But like no one respects him, so they probably like hate that
Well,
it's like on the wagons or whatever. They're probably pissed
They
about it.
respect him, they just don't like him.
Right.
Oh man.
He probably could beat them in a fight.
Well, that's just fear. That's not genuine respect.
What's the
Some would
difference?
say, what's the difference? Yeah. Respect for his abilities, at least.
Sure.
I have a more serious question. The tattoos on the Barghasts, is that magically etched on their skin, or like do they know?
They do it the old-fashioned way.
How do you know?
I am pretty sure they do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
The Haboric's tattoos were magical though, right? Like they were magically drawn on him.
It was probably done magically, but I imagine it
Somebody
was
did it.
sort of like runes. Like you still have to like etch the runes, right? But like you could make runes like magical.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because on Trot's, his tattoos basically like trace his lineage
Mhm.
all the way back to the founding. So I was wondering if like that was just you're just born with it, or
I think it was their tribe's way of passing down their memories.
okay, got it. That's all I got.
Also, there's a bunch of weird Vargas tribes.
There are.
I mean, like guys that have tortoise shell armor. That's weird. In any case,
How big
Yeah,
are
well.
these tortoises?
I don't
Bigger
know.
than a bread box.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Chapter 12. Talk discovers that the leader of his new cannibalistic death cult isn't actually a very nice man, and is promptly given a hug by an old lady.
An old reptilian lady.
Details.
Details.
He was given venison by the seer,
He was given some venison. Oh,
which
man.
thank goodness it wasn't human flesh. Ugh. Talk is very impressive in that he's been able to resist quite a bit of pressure, like resist Lady Envy and resist eating human flesh, even though he's going super, super hungry. Got a lot of self-will and discipline, man.
Yeah, he went a couple of weeks without eating, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really sympathized with Talk drawing attention through not wanting to draw attention. It just sometimes happens, you know, like if you just like want to be quiet and left alone, and then some people are like, hey, what's up with you?
Are you
And
so
that's
quiet?
Yeah, exactly. And this is just like an exaggerated version of that, because he was just quiet for weeks and it's like, oh, maybe he has something interesting to say. No, he just doesn't want to talk to you. Leave him alone.
Or like everybody just notices there's something about his eye.
Yeah, it gets more wolf-like, apparently.
Yeah.
That's strange, right?
Yeah.
Lots of wolves in this book.
There's lots of wolves. Lots of dog canine things.
Yes.
Not the tooth, but also yes, there are teeth. I don't know.
Yes, the Tenniscow make good use of their teeth.
It was pretty messed up that he ended up like locked up with the Kachin Chamal matron based on like basically like a misunderstanding on the seer's part. Because like
Yeah.
it's not like he was trying to reach out to the wolf or whatever.
Baljag?
Yeah, like they
Yes.
were having a pretty good like dinner conversation, and then like he had like this little like unintentional flash, and the seer was like, "F you,
Yeah, and Talk can see something behind the seer.
a
Like other people
jagu."
Right.
can't see it.
When no one else was able to see it. Pretty good.
Well,
No mages with their warrens unveiled, nothing.
So that was very interesting, and I do have some speculation about that. So, do you want the speculation, or do we want to do all the other
Go
stuff first?
for it.
I think
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, it's probably the same speculation I have, but let's hear it.
Okay. I think that the Panyan Seer is really either controlled or is one of the Jagat children that Kilava put into the Warren. And I think the other child is plugging up the hole in the Warren. Because otherwise, where is the other child? And the matron had tried to kill one of the Jagat children before it popped out of the Warren. I'm not quite sure, because the way that the Panyan Seer was talking, it was like, oh, you know, the mother, like, it had experienced the crushing embrace of the matron. And
Mhm.
now talk, you know how it feels. So That's
But that crushing embrace is a motherly gesture, not trying to kill it. So maybe the matron nursed the seer, and the Jaghut, that is the, like, the real seer, and now he's in charge and putting talk in his former place.
Mm-hmm.
He did say she was insane.
yeah.
You are worthy to take my place in that sweet motherly hug. Oh, she's mad, mindless with insanity. Yet the sparks of need reside within her. Such need. Beware, or it will devour you, as it did me, until I grew so foul that she spat me back out.
Yeah.
And, moms, don't hang on too tight to your children. You won't like what they become.
Right.
Norman Bates.
They might wear your... Yeah, they might wear your hair after you die.
Oh man.
So yeah, I had pretty much the exact same speculation, except I hadn't come to the idea that his sister's still in the rent. I was just like, where is she? But yeah, same thoughts on what it is.
I think... Never mind.
Can you think?
Oh.
Yet to be seen. Also, we get a room that's filled with just a bunch of human skins.
Oh.
Yummy.
Okay, I cringe so much in this chapter. Like
Mm.
the Tenaskari, I mean, I know that cannibals existed and they probably still exist right now, which but also like they are a bit more than just cannibals. It's not just like to eat to sustain themselves. There's I don't know if fetish is the right word, but there's like
There's a religious fervor behind it.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe Erickson is saying something about religion in this section.
Maybe. Who knows? It's really no way to tell, you know. Death cults equal bad.
I mean, I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, that's my takeaway.
Yeah.
I do not think Erickson is anti-religion, for what it's worth.
Right.
I don't think he's necessarily anti-religion, but I think he has criticisms of the way religion is used sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also, like, Top is very much aware of how close he is to becoming just like the rest of the Tenaskari and just battling it as much as he can. But at the same time, he's not going to be the same person coming out of this experience. So
that's the thing. Like,
Nope.
people love to look at others who are in similar dire situations like that and say, "Oh, that would never be me." Or especially in the past, like, it's easy for us in the 21st century to say, "Oh, if I was in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, then I wouldn't go along with it." Guess what? You probably would have. And people just love to do that to themselves.
Yeah, unless you think that like some humans are just inferior to others, then you know.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe yeah. Don't think that, by the way. It's a bad belief.
So Panda, about that, I have a really good quote if you'd like to hear it.
Okay.
It says, Tock's fellow lieutenants, and indeed Anastar himself, were well fed enough. They welcomed the endless corpses the march had claimed and continued to claim. Their boiling cauldrons were ever full. The rewards of power. The metaphor made real. I can see my old cynical teachers nodding at that. Here, among the Tenaskari, there is no obfuscating the brutal truth. Our rulers devour us. They always have. How could I ever have believed otherwise? I was a soldier once. I was the violent assertion of someone else's will.
Yep.
I can see
I
Yasa
noted that
smiling.
Because that was the longer version of my quote. That was a longer
I
version.
also had that one.
Dang.
Oh, I had the whole damn thing. But I won't put you guys through that.
I'm concise.
Erickson seems to be making a political statement here.
Really? You think so?
Who knows?
I think he's just making a statement. Just a statement.
I think they're random words.
I think he's an anarchist at heart. This is him trying to convert us.
Let's all give bad takes.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man. Okay. There was something that Talk said about the women who basically rape the men that are dying to get pregnant.
Mhm.
Love, not lust. These women have given their hearts to the moment of death. Should the seed take root, ... And I'm just curious what you guys think he's trying to say here.
I think it's again about religious fervor and how easy it is to deceive people into, just buying into this system.
Okay.
I think he's also concerned about the metaphysical nature of these children, being death aspected and all. I mean, Anaster is a really creepy guy.
Really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is.
He's like 14.
But
something
apparently
like
he's
that.
also very beautiful.
Yeah.
But he won't let anybody touch him except his mom.
His mom, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what is going on with this mother relationship thing?
Yeah.
It's a
theme, right?
theme.
Everyone has mommy issues.
Yeah, mommy issues is definitely a theme here.
They're
Matron.
the new daddy issues.
We got the matron, we've got the Vibe and Silver Fox, Spindle, and Aster. Yeah, think about it.
Wow. Wow.
Something that's just random. So Talk is going up to meet the Panyan Seer. 42 steps brought him to the next level. Very precise number, 42.
I
just noted
think that was an intentional reference.
Yeah, I think so too.
A very dark place to have such a silly reference, but
What's the reference?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Answer to the life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah.
Ah.
What's the question you ask? So do we.
It's been a while since I've read that.
There's a blistering wind.
Hmm.
Is that the whirlwind? Did the whirlwind get this far?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's some other wind.
Yeah.
The beast's throne is vacant.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
How
How about that?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that
Sit
mean?
on that thing.
Yeah.
Does Jasnah know?
No, I mean I know
Well-
what you know.
Oh.
Okay. I will say this. The Shadow Throne was vacant before Shadow Throne took it.
Yes.
That's all
So
I'm giving you.
So
Who's gonna be the beast?
there is a lot of attention being drawn to the beast throne is like the throne of the old hold of the Talon Imass, like before they did the ritual, right? Like their old gods. Is that right?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, so was that a different, like the throne that Param went to in the Azoth house, was that a different throne?
I'm not sure.
He's the master of the deck.
Right. But I thought the beast throne was referencing that throne that he saw in the, like, with the Talon gods used to occupy.
I'm
Is
trying
that-
very hard
Yes.
not to make eye contact.
I'm not sure. I could very well be wrong.
Well, I was going to say until you threw it, and I'm not sure, monkey wrench into what I was going to say. I was going to say it seems like they're drawing a lot of attention to the fact that the old Talon hold has this empty throne as the second gathering is coming up. But if the beast throne is like a different thing altogether, then I don't know.
I am sure, but I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Do you think it would be Ralik? Jasnah?
No.
Like Ralik
Why?
Nam?
Yeah, no.
'Cause
It doesn't seem to
He
fit
went
him.
into the Azath house,
Hmm.
and last time a throne was occupied, it was because somebody went into the Azath house, and okay.
I'm still thinking Ralik might ascend at some point, and that the Odotaral dust thing will be the origin of that. But I don't think the Beast Throne sounds like it matches with his personality, whereas I feel like Shadow Throne pretty well matches Kellenved's personality.
What if it's Talk?
I don't know. I'd believe
Okay.
that before I'd believe it would be Ralik.
Okay, I'm leaning towards Talk.
I think it's gonna be the crippled god.
You're full of crap.
Or are we all giving wrong answers?
The House of Chains is just a feint. He wants to slide on to the beast throne while everyone else is distracted.
Well, we're talking about beasts, right? So it's got to be an animal. How about Sam the Eagle?
Sam the Eagle.
It's Crone.
Oh, Crone, that's a good one.
Okay, I don't know. I think Talk is probably my best guess right now. Okay,
Chapter 13?
Chapter 13.
Chapter 13. Whiskey Jack comforts the Mibe, bears witness to Dujek bullying Krupp, and talks with a teenager about responsibility. The Tregal Trade Guild goes the extra mile. Calor contemplates another job. Whiskey Jack gets it on with an older woman. The Mibe has another dream, this one featuring a dragon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. We saw a mention of an undead dragon.
Yeah.
Yes.
We saw another
Yep.
undead dragon some other place.
This undead dragon was pretty big.
Ooh.
Are they the same undead dragon?
So, is it the same undead dragon? I think yes.
Yeah, me too.
This dragon's going somewhere.
Well, the dragon we saw in Dead House Gates was like fleeing something. I think, maybe. No, when it was taking the Salanda through all the warrens. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
I like how the Mibe is being bitter, and then Whiskey Jack says something nice to her, and she's like, no, I'm gonna stay bitter. And then she's like, oh, damn it, I can't. That Whiskey Jack, he's too good.
He is too good.
Yeah, I really liked their discussion about what lies beyond Hood's gates.
She seems to have a rather pessimistic view.
Yeah, that was sad.
And we also get a different view from, I think, Lady Envy, who's just like, maybe Hood does nothing with your soul, and you just live in purgatory forever.
She knows Hood too.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
Yeah, she mentioned that chapter earlier.
Okay, last episode I thought that maybe Krull and Hood were the same character or same thing, but I don't think so anymore. So, yeah, I still don't know what to think of Hood.
I like the two nameless Marines that Whiskey Jack talks with. That was a nice scene. And Corlat's like, man, you do it so seamlessly. You're just human, and they love you for it.
Yeah, the way that
Yeah.
he connects with them on a personal level. Yeah.
I liked how Erickson pulled out the old they grew up with 7 brothers trope. And it's like the brothers ran away.
Yeah.
Just a nice little lampshade. Well done, Erickson.
Also, apparently Whiskey Jack has a sister?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She
I
set
don't-
off to marry a king.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like a throwaway. No, he doesn't do throwaway, so.
Oh, there are lots of throwaways. Don't worry about it.
Oh. Okay, never mind. Just kidding.
This will probably never come up again.
Whenever Ashaman says that, I don't believe you.
Right.
I'm trustworthy.
The Trigala?
Trigala?
Trigala? Trigala?
I said
I've-
Tregal.
Okay. I've been saying
Okay.
Trigala.
The Tregal Guild. The Tregal Guild is cool. But
they are
also
so cool.
Yeah.
But also,
poor them.
yes, poor them.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
very dangerous to work for them.
well,
They're not workers, they're shareholders.
That's true.
the horrific ordeal that they went through, and yet the merchant lady, she was like, well, they weren't actually attacking us, they just were trying to get a ride out of wherever they were, right?
Yeah, the
and it's
demons.
like, wow, you know, like it would be very easy to like hate them, but yet she's also being sympathetic to the demons. And then the other like shareholders were like kind of, I don't know if they were cracking jokes or just really being deadpan serious. Like, well, yeah, we try to give them contracts and like make them shareholders.
I think it was serious.
I
Yeah.
think it was an honest offer.
Demons
Yep.
didn't sign a waiver. Oh my god.
I like when they arrived and like the demon's hand is just like clasped around
Oh,
like
yeah.
the chest and they had to like cut it off or
Yeah,
something.
and like it's just held on to the wheel or something, and they're like, well, it's gonna be a lumpy ride for a while.
How long is it gonna take to get that off?
I do appreciate their role in this story.
Silver Fox does a bit of one-upmanship on Whiskey Jack. She's like, there is a difference. Now that I think on it. For you, 10,000 souls. For me, 100,000. And isn't it just the most annoying when someone's like, oh yeah, I have a story like yours, but better. Oh yeah, you had a bad time sleeping? I haven't slept the entire month.
I hate that stuff.
Right? I do it sometimes too, but I swear it's good intention. Well intentioned.
Okay, going back to the MIB, yes, it was, she has a very pessimistic view, but it's understandable why she's so pessimistic, right? In Dead House Gates, we had Fellison, who is very depressing character to read. I think MIB in this one is kind of takes that place, and she lost her youth, right? Because of things that she couldn't really control, and she's seeing Silver Fox grow into this voluptuous woman, and she's like, you get to grow and survive because of me. Like, you're taking my life.
It's just being a parent, but magnified.
Right. Exaggeration of the burdens of parenthood. But at the beginning, she tried so hard not to be bitter
Yeah.
towards Silver Fox, and now she just freaking hates her.
Yeah, because she knows it's not Silver Fox's fault.
It's
can't
postpartum
control
depression.
Yeah.
That's the metaphor. Oh, question for Panda. We get a bit of a romance here. Do you buy into it?
The Corlat Whiskey Jack thing.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
I buy into it because I think the reason Corlat gives for not caring about other heist is very valid.
I agree. And it didn't come out of nowhere, because when Corlat first met Whiskey Jack again, right? Because they've met before, if I remember correctly. She notices him, and the MIB notices that she notices him.
Yeah.
So they've known each other for a while, so it's more believable. And I did like that she was just straight out like, dude, I like you. Do you like me back?
Right.
And
Isn't
Whiskey
great?
Jack's just like, I didn't
pebble.
want to presume.
Well, no, because he has a little gaffe before he does the I didn't want to presume. He does, he assumes that she's just looking for companionship in general. And she tells him he's an idiot for it. And she wants him.
He's not just a quick lay. I do think they're very compatible, though, because, Whiskey Jack, Corlat is someone with which he can sympathize because he's a very old soul and he's seen his fair share of tragedy, and you really need someone who can relate to you on that level. And then Corlat gets someone who, genuinely cares about people and hasn't become jaded beyond all recognition like most of the Teist have.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
They've lived too long.
No, I meant why is Corlat not as jaded? Okay.
I have an idea, but I don't want to share.
Okay. Is it a read and find out thing? Okay, never mind. Move on.
Just a question, how... okay, why do you think the Teist are so sad?
Because they've just lived a really long time without much purpose.
Okay.
And because they miss their mother.
Yes,
They
they
got
were
mommy
cast
issues.
out by Mother Dark.
Or left, depending on who's telling the story.
Yeah, dang, there are a lot of mother issues here.
I think the age difference creeps me out.
I mean, does it matter when you're... what's it called? Aragorn and
Aragorn and Arwen.
Arwen.
I was kidding anyway.
Oh, boo! Boo! Okay, we completely skipped quotes, so... Jasnah, did you have quotes?
I have quotes. And the first one, and it begins as always with Krupp. So, tempers grow short, Krupp murmured as the commander rode away, but not as short as Krupp, for whom all nasty words whiz impactless over his head, and are thus lost in the ether. And those darts aimed lower, they but bounce from Krupp's ample equanimity. Fat, you mean, Dujek said, wiping dust from his brow, then leaning over to spit onto the ground. Ahem! Krupp, equably cushioned, blithely smiles at the high-fist jibe. It is the forthright bluntness of soldiers that one must bathe in whilst on the march leagues from civilization. Antidote to the snipes of gutter rats, a refreshing balm to droll sardonic nobles. Why prick with a needle when one can use a hammer, eh? Krupp breathes deep, but not so deep as to cough from the dust-laden stench of nature. Such simple converse. The intellect must needs shift with alacrity from the intricate and delicate steps of the court dance to the tribal thumping of boots in grunting cadence. I love him so much. He's so great. I have a really long Calor quote too, but I'll let you guys go because that was long.
Even Krupp has body image issues.
I like how he waddles.
Who else has quotes?
It's not really a quote here. It's more of a statement where, like, Calor, in the previous sections that we read for the previous episode, I was just like, this dude is such a jerk. But in these sections, getting to see a bit more of his side of things, like, to be Calor and lived for thousands of years and seen so much, right? He's in the midst of humans who are just like wasting breath, jibber jabbering about things they don't know, and he's just like, it's time to act. Stop talking. And the quote here is, "Ashes and dust, the children who now surround me with their gibbering worries are blind to the hunter in their midst. Blind." I mean, I think he's talking about Nightchill here, but at the same time, it's more of like, how infuriating and frustrating would it be if you're just like this hundreds of thousands of years old or however old Calor is being, and you just have like these young mortals next to you and just like talking about can you imagine if like an alien who knows so much more about the world and the meaning of life and universe and everything and listens to this podcast of these like four humans just jibber jabbering about things that they may or may not know about? Anyway,
That's my
It's very
life.
much a "get off my lawn, you young punks" kind of guy.
So, on that note, here's some of Calor's internal monologue. They could not comprehend, nor did they ever, that I would yield nothing. Rather than surrender all I had fashioned, I destroyed it. That is the privilege of the Creator, to give, than to take away. I shall never forget the world's death cry, for it was the voice of my triumph. And one of you remains, pursuing me once more. Oh, I know it is you, Cruel. But instead of me, you have found another enemy, and he is killing you. Slowly, deliciously. You have returned to this realm only to die, as I said you would. And did you know? Your sister has succumbed to my ancient curse as well. So little left of her. Will she ever recover? Not if I can help it.
dun, dun, dun.
Dude's hardcore.
He is hardcore.
He is hardcore.
He's metal as hell.
But then there's another Calor bit. Like, they were talking about Getho and was talking to Calor about like the Warrens being poisoned, and Calor's like, they're not being poisoned, they're being altered. I think this is an example of where it's the same event that's happening, but people are seeing it differently due to their different perspectives, right? The different sides that they're on. And Getho asks Calor, does betrayal sting your sense of honor, Calor? And Calor responds, if you call it a sudden reversal of strategy, the sting fades.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That was a good line.
Yeah. He's pragmatic, I guess.
And ruthless.
The
So,
most pragmatic.
this is the chapter that fueled the prediction that I made on YouTube that I am now going to double down on, because I originally predicted that Shaik will join the House of Chains in the next book. Now I predict she will be the queen of the House of Chains, assuming that we get a High House of Chains.
Shaik and Calor sitting in a tree.
Well, I didn't assume that it came with matrimony between the king and queen. I thought it was more like a power structure, but whatever.
Dude.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They have to get married.
Like that.
Oh, gross. Nah, I don't know about this queen part then.
The later half of book 4 is actually just a big wedding.
Oh man. Oh, I did have a question for Yasna.
Okay.
This is the Rivi spirits talking to Maib, and it's about your favorite character. Small, round man hides obsidian edge beneath his surfeit of flesh. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Small round man hides obsidian edges beneath his what?
Surfeit of flesh.
Obsidian edges.
I read it as them saying he's probably the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Ah, okay.
I mean, we've been thinking, and there has been evidence that there is more to Krupp than he has shown, but we don't really know. What if he's Hood? Could he be Hood? I don't think so. But Obsidian, I think was brought up before.
Should we have a segment at the end of every episode where Panda guesses a different person might be Hood?
Hey,
I think so.
she got it right this time.
Who's Hood? I mean, I assume at some point we actually get to find out who Hood is and don't just keep seeing his minions or her minions.
Okay, never mind. Bye-bye.
No, I'm not trying to embarrass you. That's an interesting guess. I don't think Krupp is Hood, though. I think he's just a dude. That's my prediction. Krupp is just a dude.
Well,
Dude.
Krupp and Hood do share a startling similarity. Both are absolutely insatiable.
Oh, dear. That is true.
There's more to this than, yeah.
He is quite rotund.
So I'll give you a little teaser, Panda. A lot of the next few 2 to 3 chapters is about whether or not there is more to Krupp than meets the eye. So, have fun!
Transformers? Okay. I'm excited.
Shall we move on to listener questions?
Yeah!
Yes.
Mathros asks, I want to see you all answer whether you fit into dog/cat person binary paradigm. If so, which are you? Then for Panda and Yasta, based on your knowledge you have of the series so far, where do you think Steven fits in? I don't know what this dog-cat person paradigm is.
Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Oh, okay. I'm a dog person. I hate cats.
I am both. So, pragmatically, I'm a cat person because dogs are a lot of work. But I really do like dogs because they're typically more loving than cats.
Depends on the cat.
It does depend on the cat.
This sitting right beside me will not leave me alone.
But it almost always doesn't depend on the dog.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Dogs are pretty... I guess what I'm trying to say is you're more likely to find a dog who's cuddly than you are to find a cat who's cuddly.
So yeah, that was my answer, Panda, until I got asthma and one of my allergies is cats. And my wife and kids have like eczema, and one of their allergies is cats. So we have outdoor cats now, and I had to give away my cats, Spook and Kelsier, or Spook and Clubs rather. Damn, I forgot their names. Yeah. So now I'm pragmatically a dog person, and dogs are easy if you're doing a bunch of outdoor stuff. But if you're not, they're not.
Yeah, it's hard to have a dog if you don't have a good outdoor space that you can take them to. Like, I don't have a backyard with grass that's big enough, So a cat would be more pragmatic.
Like, once my son is old enough to not need, like, super constant attention on the trail, I want to take our dog out more hiking. I love taking dogs hiking. When I'm not hiking a bunch, dogs are annoying. They need to be walked all the time. And so I like them when I get to go out in the woods with them.
I'm sorry you had to give up your cats.
Yeah, me too.
It's not easy.
That sucks.
They were also fans of Brandon Sanderson, though, so that was cool. They were strangers that I met to give my cats to, and then they turned out to like.
Oh, I thought you meant your cats were fans of
No,
Brandon.
the people who
That's
took
an optimistic
the
take
people
on
who
things.
took the cats who were named after Mistborn characters we're also fans of Brandon Sanderson, both the husband and the wife.
That's awesome.
So,
Aww.
I am a cat person. Shockingly, they match my temperament a lot more. Although I am a sucker for lazy dogs. I also just like dogs in general, but the really energetic ones I like to visit.
Yeah.
I visit the dog park sometimes just to until I get my own dog.
I think, based on what we've read, Steve is a dog person. And I was bummed after we did the interview. I was like, dang it, I didn't ask him if he was a cat or a dog person. I mean, anyway.
well, we'll have to ask him next time.
I get the feeling he likes both of them, but he's more of a dog person.
He seems eccentric enough to like cats. Like he has this like warm and friendly eccentricity that I attribute to cat people.
Yeah, and a lot of horse people are cat people, so maybe he's a cat person.
Is he a horse person?
Dude, he's a crazy horse person. Yeah, he loves horses.
Neat.
Okay, Jagar asks, all right, here's a question. Who's your favorite bridge burner in Memories of Ice, and why is it Blend? Yasna, you want to take it first?
I mean, it's just the same thing I said earlier. I like Picker and Blend's relationship with each other more than I like them as characters, but if I can just pick their friendship as my favorite bridge burner, that's what I pick.
Ashman?
I like Blend. She is cool. I like people who say less than they think, you know. And I feel like we would really get along. Ron Swanson talks about a guy who he never learned the name of, and he was his best friend. I feel like that would be mine and Blend's relationship, basically.
Blend can listen to your philosophical rambling.
And maybe if she wants to. Or she doesn't have to, you know. You could just sit in silence.
Panda.
My favorite bridge burner is not Blend.
Ah.
I know. I think my favorite bridge burner is Fiddler.
Oh, in Memories of Ice.
It was part of the
Oh.
question.
Boo. Wait, Fiddler was mentioned though. He was mentioned in the backstory.
Oh my
He's
god.
not
trying
in
to
it, though.
cheat.
Okay, fine. I mean, is Whiskey Jack like cop-out answer?
He's not in the
first.
bridge burners anymore. He's a commander
Wow.
of the army.
My
I would
god.
still call him a bridge burner, but
Well, do you consider Talk a bridge burner?
no.
He was never in the
Talk was
bridge
never-
burners.
Yeah. He just
My
kind of
God.
attached himself
He was
to
in the second army. Yeah, Jinx.
It's okay.
You're
We
gonna
know
cut out
you
all
like
of this.
Spindle.
No.
Spindle
Okay,
final
I'm
answer.
gonna-
Okay.
No, I'm gonna say Trots.
Trots? Okay.
That's
I
a
would
good
have picked you
answer.
for Mallet, maybe.
Trots or Mallet, yeah.
I like Hedge.
Hedge is funny.
Hedge is insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
like Trots.
So shall we say goodbye? It's been 3 hours.
Yes, please.
Yes.
That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read-along and or contribute listener questions, check us out on the Legendarium's Discord. You can find the link on thelegendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter at Green Team Pod for updates and fun times. Shout out to Horizon Brave for starting it all. Check out the Legendarium podcast for Wheel of Time, Cosmere, Lord of the Rings content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Hurinfan, Ashaman, JasnahAsABoy, and I'm BefuddledPanda. Until next time.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. Unless you think that like some humans are just inferior to others, then I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe yeah. Don't think that, by the way. It's a bad belief.
Is it though? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Well,
Kieran gets really deep into race theory.
Oh, no.
Are ethno-states a bad thing? Find out now.
so,
I'm gonna cut out all the laughter.
It just sounds like it's dead serious. I like it.
Karen, I really want to punch your face right now. Heated?
I like. I pronounce it Hatan, but
Hatan.
Hot.
That's probably right.
I don't think it's Hotten.
Hotten.
Hatan. Oh gosh.